Okay, so with 2 bishops you need to force the king to a corner. It doesn't matter which corner, but you need to use the 2 bishops to force the king to the corner. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here. King is kind of stuck. You see how these 2 bishops, they prevent the king from really breaking through. Even no matter where the king is, actually king cannot get through. This bishop holds and this bishop holds, so you can kind of force the king off. So I'm going to go here, and you see king can't come forward, so now I go here, and it's the same kind of thing where basically my bishops prevent the king from crossing. So now I'm going to use my king and force this king out of the center. So let's go here again. 2 bishops prevent the king from coming over this line in a sense. So now I'm going to use my 2 bishops and move them 1 square closer. So now the bishops are 1 square closer. They hold all these squares again. So now in this case, just sort of for the themes, I'm going to go here. Bishop holds, king holds. King is kind of stuck. It's going off to the edge of the board. So now what I'm going to do is there are a couple of ways that I can do this. This is the easiest one though, so I'm going to go king here. So the king is trying to run down the board, so I'm going to cut the square. The king cannot come down, and so now I'm going to do the same thing. Use the bishops, hold the squares. So what's the easiest way to do this? I'm trying to think of the easiest way. I guess I'll do this to prevent the king from coming back in. Let's go here again. The bishop is holding a square, so the king would like to run away, but for example, the king, after king here, if the king goes to this square, I can actually make a checkmate because the king is holding the squares and the bishop covers these squares. So now there are a couple ways to mate, but I'm gonna go king here, and you see how this bishop holds these squares and the king holds the squares. So now I'm going to move my king. King goes to the very edge again. So now I'm going to go king here, and so again it's the same thing. King has two squares in the corner of the board. So the way that I make the checkmate is I just play a empty I'll just move the bishop back. I don't need to do anything right away because it still holds the squares. The king is stuck. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move my bishop here. I'm going to move the bishop here. King still can't come forward, stuck in the edge. So now I'm going to move the bishop back here. See how the bishop holds the square. Now I move the bishop here to hit the king, and the king only has 1 square because both these square, all the diagonals are covered. And now I go bishop here, and that's checkmate. The bishop is attacking the king, and the bishop holds the square on f2 as well, and it's just a forced checkmate. So you have to force the king kind of into the edge of the corner of the board, but it's the same thing where once the king gets to this corner, you just make sure the king cannot run out. So this is the 2 bishops one. I didn't do that perfectly, but it works. So now you guys want me to do the one that actually, it's pretty funny. Pokimane, she asked me about the bishop and the knight one. She asked me if she should learn how to do the bishop and the knight checkmate, and it's basically an L pattern. It's very hard to do. Okay, so what you want to do is, it's important here that the king needs to be in the corner, it needs to be on the white tiles, the same color as the bishop. So in this one with the light square bishop, you need the king in one of these 2 corners to make the checkmate. If the king is in these 2 corners, you can't checkmate. You need the bishop to deliver a checkmate in the corner. So if the king is on the king is in one of these 2 corners, it's actually, you can't make a checkmate. You can only make it if it's here. Now conversely, if this bishop was say on a dark square, like say this bishop was on this square, then it would have to be these 2 corners because the bishop is a dark square bishop versus a light square bishop here. Okay, so now there are a couple ways to do it. So I'm gonna move the knight here. Okay, he's gonna go here. So I don't know which method is necessarily the easiest, but I'm gonna go here, and now it's gonna go here. For example, in this position, if you go back, I can cut the square by moving the knight to hold the king. So if you try to run back to this way, then I move the knight and your king gets stuck here. So you go here. So now what I do is I actually do the same thing. I move the knight so that the king cannot really make it in, and now the king is trying to escape. Black wants to go here, 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 and get the king to this dark square corner, right? Because if you get the king here, it's a light square bishop and there's no checkmate. So the way that you do this now is you move the bishop here, you hold all the squares on the diagonal, and it's kind of a really nice symmetry because you see how the bishop holds all these light squares. This knight also holds all the dark squares, and the king holds these squares. So the king is actually boxed where the bishop and the knight prevent it from escaping and going down into this dark square corner. So now there are many ways to win, but the easiest is just you waste a move here by moving the bishop. And now what I can do is I can move the bishop here because the king still can't come here and the king can't come forward. So now you're just slowly forcing the king into this corner. So king d8 is a pretty logical move. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move my knight here, so the bishop and the king hold these two squares. King can't run. King needs to get to one of these two opposite corners. It's not about accuracy, I'm just trying to show you guys how to do it. So so now what I do is I'm gonna move the knight here, and you'll see that when I move the knight here, again, the bishop and the knight hold these two squares. So the king can't get here, and at the same time the bishop holds the diagonal, so the king can't get out. So I go here. So you see, it's like the king can't cross because the knight and the bishop hold these three squares. And also the king can't really get to this corner because the bishop covers and the king covers, so the king is kind of stuck. So now what you do is you can go here, and again the king would love to escape, but what I do is I just say, no sir, you do not get to pass. So there are a couple ways to force the mate, but as the king can't come over, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go here. It's not necessarily, I mean, it doesn't really matter, I'm showing you guys for technique. And you go here, you cut the king can't come over, and now you go here. Okay, you guys, I know what you're saying, it doesn't really matter how precise you are here. And you go bishop here, so the knight and the bishop hold the squares, king can't get over. So now you go here, again these two squares are boxed, so now the king is really close to this corner, you see. So now you go here and the king ends up in the corner with two squares, and now what you do is you deliver the checkmate. Just so that I don't get a no, let me make sure that I find the quickest mate here. Is this the quickest one? Yeah, I think this is the quickest. So I go here, king is stuck in the corner, right? King holds these three squares, bishop holds the squares. Now I go here, and now you go check, hit the king, and now you go check, bishop holds the square, king goes over, and now the king is holding, knight holds, and you go here, and this is just checkmate. Knight holds the square, bishop puts the king in check, and your king holds these two squares. Again, there are several methods that work, but yeah, do the version where he doesn't. Is there one where you don't start on the edge? Because I thought there wasn't. But at any rate, someone said the W is easier, but Levon did this. He did the method that I just did against Maxime Vachier-Lagrave in a recent event, and I also lost the game where Ruslan Ponomarev did the same sort of L versus a W checkmate. So there are a couple that work. Okay, so there is, okay, let's see, what's their checkmates. There's another one. Oh, there's this one. Okay, yeah, so I mean, this is pretty random too. Basically what you do is, again, where's the king need to be? It needs to be in this corner. Same thing, light, it's the light colored bishop, so if the king is in these two corners, it's just a draw. So okay, okay, let's go here. Basically the king is gonna run. Black, if they're smart and they know how to do it, they run the king to one of these two corners basically. I mean, I don't know exactly the specific way to do it, like in the perfect amount of moves. Apparently I'm finding the best move, weirdly. Okay, so now what you want to do is you kind of want to force the king into the corner. I think if they're smart they go this way, maybe not. Let's just go here. Let's go here, and now the king, if they're smart, they go for the edge right away. And so now we're supposed to go this way. Okay, now the computer doesn't do it in the easiest method. It's supposed to go the other way, but it's going to go in the center here. So I'll go here, and now it's very similar. You create this box again with the bishop and the knight. Now the other one was slightly different. I think the one that I did before was the bishop and the knight here, where you cut the three squares like this, but this also works. Okay, so now I think you go here. Okay, king d7, mate in 27. Yeah. Okay, let's go here. Okay, now the thing is, you eventually have to force the king into the corner. Okay, so now let's go here. Okay, so now the king is in the back. So now this is exactly what I was saying, where you have to mate in 50. What do you mean? What do you mean? Did I do something wrong? I thought this was a forced checkmate, but you go here, and now you have to move. You have to make the box with the bishop and the knight. Yeah, you guys are like trolling me now. Yeah, so I think here, You can go to e5 or c5. Yeah, you guys are really trolling me. Is it knight c5 or knight e5? I'm trying to remember the quickest way here. If you go c5, you have a check and the king has to run that way. If you go e5, I mean, both moves work, but yeah, I think you go, I think c5 is right. And now you basically have to waste a move here. You can do the L with knight d7, of course. Actually, yeah, this is the same thing, right? Yeah, it's the same thing. You go here and here. Yeah, so I can create the same box. I just go like here and here and bishop d3. It's the same thing, yeah. And so now you can go bishop d3 or bishop e4. I think bishop e4 is winning. I slept earlier. Do you not stream? No, you actually make progress because the king is going to the corner. The thing is that basically if the king is in one of these two corners, it's always a draw. But when the king is in these two corners, it's a checkmate. So it looks like you're not making progress, but you actually are, because the king is going to end up in this box. So I think, let me make sure that I don't mess this up. You go here, and now they have to go here, and now black wants to run with the king, right? So you want to run this way. So there are a couple ways to win here. I mean, you don't want to go here, by the way, because for example, if you go here, the king gets out. But they're all winning. Bishop g6 wins, knight f6 wins. I mean, we've played 22 moves, so I don't want to mess this up. But the thing to remember, you guys, it doesn't look like I'm making progress, but I am, because again, it's a light square bishop. You know, it's the wooden shield. Remember, it's the light square wooden shield. And these two are draws. If the king gets to these corners, it's a draw, because you need to make a check with the bishop in the corner in order to make a checkmate. You can't do it the other way around. So yeah, this is mate. I mean, it says mate in 12, but let me try to figure out why it's mate in 12. Bishop g6 wins. I mean, I think this is the cleanest, because I can rotate the horse to e6. You go here, and now the king can't get out to this corner, because you check here. King can't come out, so now the king gets boxed into this corner, which is the right color since it's a light square bishop. And now again, many ways to win, but I will go here, and now I'll go here. And so black tries to run out. Black wants to run the king out, but I go here. King can't get out. I go here. King can't get out. And now king has to go here. And now I just go here, make sure the king can't get out. And it's just a force win. What's the quickest? I guess this is the quickest. Maybe not the quickest, but it's all the same. And now again, I will do the same thing. I'm going to use the knight and the bishop. So I go here, and then here, and then here, and it's the same thing. King can't get out, and then you go checkmate. And that's all she wrote.